Fear, the great enemy, strikes from within. No matter how many battles I manage to win, somehow it always finds a way to creep back in. Hi. For many years I've been somewhat aware that perhaps the greatest challenge of my life is standing up to fear, facing it head-on, as it is, as I am, and still moving forward as if it were just a figment of my imagination. Because that's what it is, isn't it? Fear was planted in me in early life. I know its patterns, but that familiarity made it even more powerful. I remember one of my earliest fears as a child was this monster, half human, half rat creature that lived in the basement. The image of it, the idea that it could be real, terrified me really. Even though I knew deep down that such a thing wasn't possible, it still scared the hell out of me almost every night. I long for the days when I feared monsters like that, because I learned quite early that real monsters walk among us, beneath human skin. That's the true nightmare. Some of us learned this quite early. For some, the people who were supposed to protect us were the monsters. Maybe not always, maybe not every day, but often enough to tip the scales and turn life into a nightmare from time to time. Fear is powerful, isn't it? We learn that as children. It's supposed to help us survive, but in the wrong hands, it becomes a tool for control. There's this story that really stuck with me. In a circus, why can a massive elephant be held in place by a simple string tied to a stake? Because when it was young, it was beaten into submission, terrorized until that string alone could paralyze it for life. So many of us are like those elephants. We carry our trauma close to heart, as if it's a survival manual. And maybe it was. But tools forged in extreme circumstances often ruin our ability to live in peace. What the brain gets used to, what it learns to accept as normal, isn't always healthy. In fact, it's often deeply destructive. When I started healing, when I started trying to truly live, I realized I didn't even know what safety felt like. Peace, quiet, calm. I had to learn those from scratch, because my system didn't recognize them. The familiar wasn't peace, the familiar was tension, waiting, bracing. Something bad is going to happen. It always does, doesn't it? And so part of me remained in survival mode, even when everything was okay, even when people loved me, even when I was safe. The scariest thing about fear is that it can shape your very reality. It affects how we see, how we hear, how we interpret everything. Fear makes us look for threats even when there are none. It makes us act out, shut down, push people away, even the ones trying to love us. And when it becomes chronic, it starts to shape your very identity. You start thinking, I am broken, I'm not lovable, I'll never be free. That's the real trap. Because once you believe that, you live as if it's true. And if you're not careful, you'll pass it on. To your kids, your partners, to the world. But here's the truth I'm starting to live now. Fear is a ghost. It lives only as long as we feed it. It feels real, but isn't. It feeds on what-ifs, on wounds that haven't been fully seen or held. But when we turn toward it, when we stop running, we realize something wild. We are still here. Still breathing, still capable of love, still us. And slowly that ghost loses its grip. So what do? We learn to stay, not in danger, but in presence. We stay with ourselves, with the tight chest, the shaky hands, the lump in the throat. We breathe with it. We say, you are allowed, you're safe now. And little by little, our nervous system learns a new language, not the language of panic, but of peace, not shutdown, but openness. Healing isn't a clean line. It's messy, circular, frustrating. You think you've healed something, then boom, it comes back in a different form. But that's not failure, that's refinement. That is mastery. Like the sea smoothing a stone over time, each wave is a part of the process. And one day, without even noticing, you respond differently. The trigger comes and you breathe. The voice of fear whispers and you smile. Not because you're pretending, but because you remembered. You remembered who you are, beyond the trauma, beyond the story, beyond fear. You remembered that love is your native tongue, that peace is your birthright, that you were never broken, only buried. And now you rise. Not like a warrior fighting a battle, but like a dawn that cannot be stopped. So if fear visits again, welcome it like an old teacher. You don't have to agree, you don't have to obey, just listen, then walk on. Because the path is clear now, not outside of you, but within you. And each step you take in truth is a step the whole world feels. Welcome home. In closing, I'd like to say that perhaps the biggest shift for me in recent times was truly revisiting the idea that fear is something to avoid. Fear often signals danger by default, but it can also be a window you learn to look through, revealing a better version of yourself on the other side. And when you are ready, just walk through. Because by then, you've made that window your door. A door to a stronger, wiser self that's always been waiting for you to take that leap of faith. Because deep down, you've always known you could. It just took time to remember. Thank you so much for watching.